Boston from New York's Penn Station is about 230 miles. By train, you can get there give or take 4 hours, depending on the train you take. Montreal from Penn Station is about 360 miles. Logically, if you compare it to Boston and do the math, it would take 6.25 hours to get there by train. But we all know that's not how the world works. The life we live and the reality we're in is not exact science. The universe likes to play tricks and loves to throw curveballs. Because in our reality, a train doesn't take 6.25 hours to get to Montreal. It takes a whopping 12, give or take. This is if you take a train for the entire route. Taking a bus is actually a faster option, and surprisingly, driving is even faster. Which makes you think, did Aperture Science put down some portals along the tracks to slow down time? No, the cake is a lie. Luckily, I know a train nerd who explained it to me. If you haven't already, check out Urban Jersey Guy. His channel is linked in the description below. It turns out that the train tracks that head into Montreal go through the Adirondack Mountains. Then, after such an adventure, the train will cross into Canada. And I'm told that the tracks on the Canadian side have been under-maintained, so the train has to crawl at 20 to 30 miles an hour. Getting to New York's capital, which is Albany, is super fast. Albany is 150 miles from New York, almost half the journey, but it only takes about 3 hours, give or take. If you compare it to Boston, the ratio of time to miles is pretty close. The problem is once you get into the mountains. So the first half of the journey takes 3 hours. Then the second half takes 9. This is just wrong. But you can't exactly take away the mountains, and it would be hard to get around it. And it would be way too expensive to create tunnels for the train to cut through. The expense wouldn't justify the ridership. Or would it? Do you think that there would be more riders on this route if there was a tunnel that went through the Adirondack Mountains? Could we even tunnel through the Adirondack Mountains? I don't know. Comment below if you do. And even if they fix the tracks on the Canadian side to speed up the journey after the mountains, this is only a 40-mile journey. You're not gonna skim much off on the time. So it's hard to see a future where there would be a train trip from New York to Montreal in under 10 hours. Which is a shame because a round trip from New York to Montreal on the train can cost as low as $140. That's $70 one way, compared to an airplane which is more than double. But if you're determined to go on this train ride, you might be thinking, oh, 12 hours? Then I'll just take a sleeper car. You go to Penn Station, eat your dinner, brush your teeth, tuck yourself in bed, and you wake up to beautiful Montreal. Not gonna happen. This trip does not have a sleeper car option. How it was explained to me is that this trip relies heavily on the ridership between Albany and New York during the daytime, which doesn't really happen at night with a sleeper car. There wouldn't be enough overnight riders to justify a sleeper car for this journey. I wouldn't blame anybody for flying into Montreal from New York, which I did because of time constraints. It was so crazy. The flight was the shortest trip I've ever taken. We took off, and after a few moments, the pilot was saying the seatbelt signs turned off, blah, blah, blah. And then they said, in about half an hour here, we're gonna begin our descent. I kid you not, from takeoff to touchdown, it was 57 minutes. As much as I want to support train travel, for this trip in particular, it's just too tempting to take an airplane. I want to know your thoughts on this. We try as much as we can to advocate for mass public transit, especially train travel, but in some cases, it just doesn't make sense. In this case, a train would take 12 hours and a bus would take 8 hours. If I factor in the time and all the cost opportunity loss associated with that, for me at least, an airplane is the way to go. From the door of my apartment to getting to the airport, flying, going through customs, then getting to my accommodation in Montreal, it took exactly 6 hours. And this even includes that long line to get my pass for the metro. And you might be thinking, what about driving? Nah, I don't do well with driving. I haven't been behind the wheels in about 5 years now. So I don't trust myself driving through the mountains. Besides, if you account for car rental and the gas, it's almost as much as the airplane. Plus, I have to drive. But again, I would love to know your thoughts on this, so please comment down below. That's all I got. This is a short video because I'm out this week and next week, so there won't be a video next week. I'm out because I'm going to a wedding, then there's a family event that requires my attendance, and we've been going strong with YouTube all summer long, so it's time for a little break. In the meantime, hop on over to the Urban Caffeine channel. I have over 100 videos. If you haven't seen them all, please feel free to binge watch. And if you want extra content, check out Patreon or the join button of this channel. I publish vlogs twice a week, even when I'm out, so Patreons and YouTube members will never miss out. And of course, you can't forget access to our Discord community. With that, thank you all so much for watching, and until the next video, happy New Yorking!